Court has granted bail to 7 members of the New Patriotic Party in the Sisala West district of the Upper West region. 7 include the constituency chairman, Bukari Dramani. They were each on a 5,000 cedi bail with 2 sureties. You would recall the constituency chairman, 2 other executives and 4 supporters of the NPP were remanded last Thursday for locking out the DCE for Sisala West, Mohammed Bakor. Let's get some more details from the Deputy Upper West Police Commander, DCOP Edward Odro-Kwating, who joins us on the line. Good evening and many thanks for your time, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, clarify for us, when exactly did the WA Court grant them bail? Because as far as we know, they were remanded by the court.
Hello, please.
I was asking, can you confirm to us when they were granted bail? Because the last we heard of this story was that they were remanded by the WA High Court.
Thank you. They were granted bail this morning at the WA High Court.
So was there pressure brought on your office to ensure the release of these 7?
The reception here is bad, but what I know is the counsel for the accused person's lawyer, Sadiq, Ubedu, filed an appeal for bail for the accused persons at the High Court this morning. In view of that, all the 7 accused persons were arraigned before the High Court on today. The trial, His Lordship Justice Kwesi Boakye granted the appeal and admitted the suspects to bail in the sum of 5,000 each, with 2 sureties each. He then ordered that the accused person should report to the Golu District Police Commander once every week, starting from 6 November 2017. He added that the accused persons should report at the WA District Magistrate Court on the 8th November for continuation of the case. Also, the accused person should not go closer to the Golu District Assembly until the case is over, apart from the Assemblyman, Mr. Amadou Suman Nizato, who is a government appointee.
Okay, sir, so we have information suggesting that the regional police commander and the Deputy Upper West Regional Minister met all the 10 chairmen of the constituency, all the constituency chairmen in the Upper West region, after they had threatened to demonstrate to protest the members or their colleagues being remanded in police custody. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, well, the reception here is very bad, but I heard something like you are saying that all the chairmen have demonstrated, have agreed to go on demonstrations. That has not come to our knowledge, please.
But we've been speaking to some party members in the region who tell us the constituency chairman had planned to go on demonstration and that they had given the police an ultimatum up to Saturday, actually, to release their members or they will hit the streets. So are you bowing to pressure from these constituency chairmen?
Yeah, from what you are saying, I'm not privy to it, but from now that these people have been released, I don't think there's any need for any demonstration.
Okay, let's turn our attention on the DCE who was locked out and for which reason this case has come to the police. Are you providing protection for him?
Oh, yes, of course. We have provided protection for him. As of now, I can confirm and tell you that the place is calm.
So is he able to go about his duties without fear of being attacked again?
Oh, yes. Yes, he's free to go about his duty.
And what specific measures have you taken to avert the possibility of another attack on the DC?
Personally, I don't feel there's going to be any attack, and I'm very pleased and happy about the way the leadership of NPP in the region has conducted itself. They are law-abiding, and now the rule of law is at its peak.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Many thanks. And that's Deputy Upper West Police Commander, DCOP Odro-Kwating. Now, what started as a fight between 2 students has degenerated into reprisals between Tema Technical Institute and Chemu Senior High School. At least 9 students have so far been picked up by the police in Tema to assist in investigations. A student from Chemu was rushed to Nabita Hospital with a fractured arm Wednesday after some students from Tema Technical Institute allegedly attacked them. 5 of the students were then arrested for their involvement. 3 students from Tema Technical and 1 from Chemu were also arrested Thursday after an intelligence report indicated that Tema Technical students were preparing to attack Chemu SHS. Tema Regional Police PRO ASP Joseph Benefodakwa has been speaking to Joy News' Kwame Yanka.
We want to caution students to stay away from these acts of hooliganism and other, lawlessness. Any student who breach the laws of this land will be arrested. We want to advise them to concentrate on their academic work rather than, this kind of mayhem and hooliganism. So they should be warned that if they breach the law of the land or the security, arrangements, or they will be arrested and be dealt with. I know the authorities, their school authorities also have their rules and regulations to deal with them. But then if they go beyond what they are supposed to do by, breaking the rules and laws of the land, they will be arrested.
Meanwhile, ASP Joseph Benefodakwa says those arrested Wednesday will be granted bail and continue to assist in the ongoing investigation. He cautioned all the students to desist from any acts of violence.
Apparently, they had injured one student from Chemu Secondary School. So the student was taken to the hospital, and the 5 students were taken into custody for interrogation to assist investigation. Now, today early morning, we also had the information that as a result of what happened yesterday, they were regrouping to cause mayhem. Our men are still there to make sure security is at its best. We deployed our men very early, so I believe when they had information that police were at the grounds, they no longer came to the place. So our men will be there till we think the issue had been resolved. Well, we've granted them bail, and I believe the heads of the schools are talking to resolve the issue. So they are on bail. They will be recalled whenever they are needed.
Now, the minority in Parliament is not relenting on its push for Ghana's ambassador to South Africa to be given the sack. George A.C. Boateng has come under intense criticism by many Ghanaians for his comments that suggested supporters of the New Patriotic Party are more Ghanaian and as such would prioritize their needs. He has since apologized for the comments, but the minority in Parliament is not backing down on their call for President Akufo-Addo to sack him. They want Foreign Affairs Minister to submit a formal statement on the matter to the House. Joseph Akable reports.
While Central MP Rashid Pelpo had some reservations about the silence of government on the matter as proceedings began in the House on Friday, he pushed for Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botwe to appear before the House to comment on a recent apology rendered by Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa. Mr. Pelpo demanded that the minister briefs the House on what had transpired since the apology.
Whether it's also not possible for the Minister for Foreign Affairs come and make a statement about the pronouncement by the High Commissioner for South Africa, so that we understand exactly what is happening. Thank you.
Second Deputy Majority Whip Moses Enim told the House the Majority Leader was engaging the Foreign Affairs Minister and will ask that they brief the House if need be.
On the activities of youth groups and the Foreign Affairs, the Ambassador for South Africa, the Majority Leader is in discussion with the relevant ministers. And when it is due, in their wisdom, they think they can come and make any statement, I think they will come and do so diligently.
Information Minister Mustafa Hamid was also in the House to explain government's inability to allow all media houses cover the president's engagement with the media in July. Following the press engagement, accusations were leveled against the ministry for deliberately choosing not to invite pro-NDC establishments. Mr. Hamid was responding to MP for Talensi Benson Tongo Baba's urgent question on the floor of Parliament, demanding answers from the ministry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for information whether invitation was extended to all media houses, both print and electronic, for the coverage of the President's Meet the Press program, held on the 18th of July, 2017.
Mr. Speaker, because there are 382 radio stations, 15 television stations, and about 45 newspapers across the country. And so to invite every single one of them would be a nightmare. First of all, it's an impossibility.
The House approved the nomination of MP for Achim Swedro Kennedy Nyako as Deputy Minister for Agriculture before proceedings were adjourned to Tuesday, November 7.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a short break, but still to come, victims of defilement to soon be legally entitled to compensation. That is one of the many amendments to the Children's Act being proposed by the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection goes through. But what is the use of the fund without funds? We'll explore that after the break.
Hello, good evening to you. Time now for business. The Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, says non-payment of taxes in the oil and gas sector continues to cost the country huge loss of revenue. A recent research conducted by the Ghana Oil and Gas for Inclusive Growth, GOGIC, to identify potential revenue losses along the oil and gas decision chain indicates between $200 and $700 million in tax revenue has not been captured this year. The minister explains, is due to the lack of knowledge on the part of government's systemic failure to effectively manage tax issues. The minister was speaking in an interview after the inauguration of a 10-member multi-agency petroleum revenue collection committee to address challenges associated with tax revenue losses in the oil and gas sector.
The research in itself indicates that there may be as much as between $200 and $700 million that we may not be capturing. And I think if we are able to do that, it would ensure that we are competitive in terms of our taxation policy, at the same time get the type of revenue we need. If in future it has to come to that. Next year we're going to have a whole tax review, sort of a national tax review at every level, from domestic to multinational, and I think that would better inform us. Actually, you know, the key thing for us, as you know, last year or this year, we abolished quite a number of taxes. I think one of the key things for us now is efficiency. And how do we ensure that at the very least we are getting what we are supposed to get before then determining whether to raise taxes or not.
The 12th General Assembly of West African Power Pool in Africa has opened in Accra. Representatives of various member countries pledged their commitment to establishing a regional energy market that will secure the future of electricity supply in the sub-region. President Akufo-Addo, who hosted the session, called for a regional approach to tackle the challenges in the energy sector. There's more in this report.
The West Africa Power Pool is an annual gathering of energy institutions and agencies across the West African sub-region. The aim is to seek solutions to the prevailing energy crisis in the region. Speaking at this year's General Assembly, which is taking place in Accra, President Akufo-Addo called on African leaders to realign economic policies to ensure a booming electricity network in West Africa. According to him, the rapid economic boom of West African countries will require a doubling of investment in the energy sector.
In most West African countries, the annual growth in demand for electricity is estimated at 10%. This means that for every 7 years, we need to double our investment in electricity infrastructure. Investment in the energy sector has been termed as impact investment, in that ensures the delivery of financial and social returns that have the potential to address important challenges, such as reduction of poverty and improvement of the lives of people. In West Africa, fortunately, through the ECOWAS Energy Protocol, efforts have been made to resolve the regulatory and political barriers constraining investment in an electricity supply and inadequate infrastructure along the electricity value chain. As of state and government of ECOWAS, through the Supplementary Act, decided most of the regional power generation facilities should be developed by PWA through special purpose vehicles under the PPP framework.
On his part, the Energy Minister, Boakye Ejiakor, was hopeful Ghana would be joining the rest of Africa for a common regional electricity market by 2019.
Ghana is honored to have been selected during the 11th General Assembly held in Ouagadougou in 2016 to host this event, which brings together renowned experts in the electricity sector in West Africa, international funding agencies, and the donor community to address issues relating to the common enterprise of establishing a regional electricity market by 2019. The theme for the 12th General Assembly is Regional Electricity Market Ensuring West Africa Integration. This is in line with a vision of WAP, which is integrate the regional power systems into a unified regional electricity market, with the expectation that such mechanisms will, over the medium to long term, ensure citizens of ECOWAS member states with stable and reliable electricity supply at competitive costs.
The 12th General Meeting of West African Power Pool in Africa was under the theme Regional Economic Market Ensuring West African Integration.
The National Investment Bank, NIB, has indicated its readiness to redirect its focus towards supporting government's industrialization program in 2018. Currently, NIB is a major lender to the manufacturing, building and construction and agro-processing sectors of the economy, as well as the services industry, while 70% of the bank's portfolio is made up of loans to the private sector. Speaking in an interview after a meeting with customers, Deputy Managing Director of the bank, Alfred George Thompson, said the bank is poised to support the policies government so far has rolled out.
Developmental banking. What we're looking at is, you know that government has talked a lot about the infrastructure development. They've talked about the one district, one factory, one dam per village in the upper north side of the country. They've talked about other issues that they want to look to make sure that they expand the economy. And that is our focus that we are driving towards, because NIB was created as a developmental bank to help grow businesses, to help establish institutions, to help expand within the economy. And that is the focus that we are going to have from 2018 going forward. But that doesn't mean that we are going to disband or we are not going to look at the universal banking aspect. It will be there, and there will be the team that will be driving it. But the core mandate of being a developmental bank is what we are going to drive, and we are going to help in the growth of this country, because that is our focus, and that is why we're able to give birth to two banks that will drive the agri sector and will drive the universal banking aspect of the country. That was the UMB and the ADB. But our focus will make sure that we are going to help this government grow bigger and bigger every day. We are going to help businesses grow. We are going to help startups, and we are going to develop with them to make sure that they become the big giants that we expect companies to be.
Away from that, some corporate stakeholders are pushing for better enforcement of laws to help curb corruption among businesses and the economy. Health, Safety, Security and Environment Manager at APM Ghana, Frank Onsuansa, spoke with Joy Business at the Alliance for Integrity Dialogue on Understanding and Doing Business with Integrity.
It is believed that the enforcement of laws is critical to help reduce commercial and reputational damage as a result of corruption in businesses and the economy as a whole. Highlighting the issues of integrity and corruption at the Alliance for Integrity Dialogue, Health, Safety, Security, Environment Manager at APM Ghana, Franco Uswansa, stressed the need for enforcement of existing laws.
Ghana is a country that when it comes to laws, when it comes to policies, when it comes to requirements, we have them all. The issues we have with our country has to do with enforcement and also probably making people aware of the existence of these requirements and what the laws requires of institutions and organizations. So Ghana's situation is about enforcement. It's not about not having these laws, not having these policies. They are out there, and I can tell you what UK has, Ghana almost has and more. But the difference is about enforcement and how you require these institutions to be observant and going out and making sure that the institutions that are operating within those requirements and those confines do comply themselves to it or do obey and observe them as required for their existence.
And that's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome back. Now, a group calling itself the Concerned National Service Personnel Association of Ghana has threatened to go to court if the National Service Secretariat and NASPA executives fail to reverse a decision to deduct 15 Ghana cedis from allowances of service personnel across the country. Convener for the group, Agbodo Williams, says they have gathered enough signatures from personnel across the country to file the matter in court. They've given the Secretariat and NASPA executives 1 week to respond to their call.
We don't want it to be implemented now. If anything, they should hold on until we go for that Congress. Then we decide, okay, this is our badge, we want it, or we want it to be made optional. They should not go ahead and implement the policy. In fact, as I speak with you now, we are gathering enough signatures to proceed to court, because this thing cannot stand in the face of law. You cannot dictate to me an insurance policy I should subscribe to. Cannot make an insurance policy compulsory on me. What about the policies coming from MTN? Those who don't use phone, those who don't have internet connections, those who don't have smartphones, how are they going to benefit from what they are paying for? If I'm already on other insurance policy, am I going to pay double for the same purpose? This does not make sense to me. To us, we think it's a smart way of extorting money from vulnerable people like us. We are gathering signatures of concerned national service persons who are not in support of the policy to proceed to court. In fact, we have a lawyer already. So we are just waiting for maybe 2 days from next week when anything happens. We see that the NSS and NASPA are adamant. If we see they are adamant, then we proceed to court. We have enough data, enough signatures to proceed to court.
Now, create another portfolio of High Commissioner of NPP to South Africa for Mr. A.C. Boateng if he won't resign. That's the call by the Ashanti Regional Chapter of the Tertiary Education Institution Network, the student wing of the National Democratic Congress. At a news conference in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, the students called for Mr. A.C. Boateng's apology to be rejected because he showed no remorse. David Derry is leader.
It is in this regard that we, the members of TAIN Ashanti Regional Chapter, are calling on His Excellency Nana Dodonko Akufo-Addo to, with immediate effect, take due actions and revoke the appointment of Mr. George Boateng as the High Commissioner to South Africa. This is because Mr. High Commissioner has emphatically stated that he doesn't regret making such comments, and so it is difficult to believe that his apology is sincere. Some factions of Tesco community like the Gimpak Kumasi campus are heavily lauding those comments even after the malnourished apology. His act is a slap on Article 12 and a violation of Article 17 of the 1982 Constitution, as well as his oath office as a High Commissioner. We further again caution the President on any decision that will seek to put Mr. George A.C. Boateng in another public office because he is unfit with this motive of his.
The group says the attitude and posture exhibited by Mr. A.C. Boateng over his comment makes him unfit to be a public officer.
it will be of no concern to us if the president, out of sympathy, would want to appeal to the NPP to create an appointment for Mr. George Aisi Boateng as High Commissioner of the NPP to South Africa. This is because we believe he will have an independent and free will to implement his motive without having to act contrary to the code of his office. We also want to caution TESCOM members and their leadership to desist from endorsing such embarrassing comments because it betrays their mandate as an intellectual wing.
The presiding member of the Ada East District Assembly is alleging results of Friday's election to confirm or reject the president's nominee for the district was swapped by police officers. Police officers were forced to carry the ballot box to a waiting vehicle after a scuffle ensued prior to the declaration of the results. It was the third and final time the nominee, Sarah Pobi, appeared before the assembly to secure their vote. Sarah Pobi was declared the district chief executive officer after polling 37 yes votes out of the 27, I beg your pardon, yes votes out of the 36 total ballots cast. Joy News' Maxwell Ababa was at the Ada College of Education where the election was held and has come through with this report.
I'm a journalist. Yeah, so you are with Trent. No, I'm a journalist. I want to do a video, Yeah, I'm a journalist. I understand, but so you have to rather protect me. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. What I'm saying is, this is something police and there could be, but the other side. Yeah, so I'm coming.
Action of a police officer trying to stop our team from filming the scuffle that ensued prior to the declaration of the results. Joy News' camera technician was locked up in a room by some heavily built men in suit after they realized he was filming the fight inside the auditorium. Shortly before the declaration of the results, lights went off, scuffles ensued, and police officers had no choice but to whisk the ballot boxes away into one of their waiting vehicles. The presiding member and one of the assembly members were bundled into another vehicle.
At the end of the counting, there was one rejected ballot. 7 members voted no. 28 members voted yes, representing 77.78% of the vote. May I have the pleasure to invite the nominee here for the necessary confirmation to be done.
That was the electoral commissioner declaring the results of the election, but the presiding member, Simon Atakabla, says the results are not true reflection of the process. His alleged police officers swapped the ballot boxes as they took them into their vehicles.
Leadership must be chosen by the will of the people. It must not be imposed on the people.
What are you alleging? You're alleging that they swapped the ballot box?
Yeah, yes, you can notice it yourself. I am sure that just after the voting, your power was what? Off. They intentionally took out of your socket so that you will not cover what is going on. You know, and you have witnesses that even after the voting, police officers asked invisible forces to enter the room and cause mayhem. This is what I was saying came to pass.
How do you know they are members of the invisible forces?
They themselves know who knows them.
Another member of the assembly is considering other options.
Honorable member for Tamatoku electoral area, I am telling Ghanaians that we are not safe under the security of Ghana. But let me tell you something. I don't have time for court. I don't have time for speaking British language. But I will face all the rivers where the shrines are. I will face them one by one, and they will see what will happen. I don't. Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I'm not a Christian. So I'm also going to pray because they butchered me, they twisted my neck, they seized my phone, my money, my constitutional book is lost.
Who did all of this to you?
Those who hijacked us in the room.
Did you see them?
The so-called invisible forces. You were there. We were telling you, let the people get out from the room because we know the plans that the people said. They are telling the whole Ghana that Sarah is not a DCE and she can never be DCE for Ada.
But the newly confirmed district chief executive for Ada East, Sarah Pobi, is not perturbed about their utterances as she laces her boot to start work.
Now, in almost any new construction site in Ghana, attacks by so-called land guards are uncommon. Joy News' latest hotline documentary, Land Wars, put the spotlight on the land guard crisis, revealing how the armed men are terrorizing landowners across the country. In the following excerpts, my colleague Latif Idris speaks to Palanquin chief of the Asante Hene, who shares his ordeal at the hands of land guards on a disputed land under his jurisdiction.
Kumasi, the capital of the Ashanti Kingdom, is considered by many as the region with the best organized chieftaincy institution in the country. It is expected that administering over lands in the Ashanti region is carried out with little controversy. Sadly though, that is not the case. Land management in the region comes with its own problems. The Asante Hene Otumfuo Seitutu II in July 2017 sacked the secretary of the Land Secretariat at Menchia Palace for illegally disposing of portion of the stool land to a private developer. Then in the same month of July, Nana Kofi Adade, aka Nana Solo, Otumfuo Seitutu II's Palanquin chief, was attacked with cutlasses and guns at Tabre in the Kimanwa-Beja district of the Ashanti region. Narrating the incident to me at his palace in Tabre, Nana Adade said he and some elders of the community were attacked by thugs hired by one Mensa Bunsu, who claimed to exercise jurisdiction over the contentious land following a fraudulent sale.
I am the Palanquin chief of Otumfuo Seitutu II. His Majesty gave me permission to visit the site with a group he had instructed to demarcate the land. Whilst on the land, we were ambushed by land guards who came in the company of a self-styled chief, Osei Bonsu. I sustained cutlass wounds on my ankle and my head in the process. Otumfuo has publicly stated that Osei Bonsu is not a royal. It is therefore surprising that he carries himself as one.
Victims in that attack, together with Nana Adade, were subsequently given medical form by Abuakwa police to seek for medical treatment at the Abuakwa hospital. Menchia has since appointed Apejahene Oheneba Owusu Efriye IV as a replacement to manage lands in the Ashanti region to prevent some of these criminal dealings at the highly revered palace. Clause 3 of Article 267 of the Constitution states that
there shall be no disposition of any stool land unless the Lands Commission within the region within which the land is situated has certified that the disposition or development is consistent with the development plan drawn up or approved by the planning authority of the area concerned.
Let's stay in Kumasi because 16 inmates have been discharged from the Kumasi Central Prisons. 3 judges from the Justice for All program heard several cases involving remand prisoners on Thursday and Friday in all. 133 remand prisoners have so far benefited from the program at the prison in Kumasi. The move to decongest Ghana's prisons was to reignite it following Joy News' documentary, Locked and Forgotten. Prince Appiah monitored proceedings on Friday and has come through with this report.
A total of 133 cases were heard during the 2 days.
4 were convicted and imprisoned, 45 were granted bail, 32 applications were refused, whilst 16 other applications were struck out. Excited 42-year-old Kwamna Jemfi is one of the beneficiaries who are being charged for murder.
My wife,
someone gave me a gun to keep for him. On returning it, I mistakenly shot my wife. When I got here, I fell ill, rendering me paralyzed. The policeman who is supposed to take me to court is not coming anymore. Through this program, I can now go home on bail with one surety.
Chairman of the Justice for All program, Justice Clarence Honyanuga, is impressed with the cooperation of stakeholders. He explains the considerations for discharging, for instance, murder cases under the program.
7, and out of it 5 were discharged and 2 were granted bail. Oh, you know this, the Justice for All program thrives on Article 14.4 of the Constitution. If somebody is a person is restrained or detained for an unreasonable time, yes, the Constitution says that person should either be discharged or be granted bail. So a challenge with one of the cases, because I was told by the prison officials that the police investigator came for the particular inmate who is supposed to appear before us. And as a matter of fact, the prison officials are not responsible for remand prisoners. It's the Ghana Police Service that does that. And I can assure you that we are going to cause investigations to be conducted in this matter. Yes, and if we find out there is a violation of the law, I think that police officer would face it.
Deputy Judicial Secretary for the Northern Sector, His Honor Samuel Boachi-Yadom, says the harsher conditions remand prisoners face demands that the program is sustained.
The prisoners on remand, their conditions are very, very harsh, harsher than those on convicted criminals. Because when they come to the prisons, they are put somewhere else differently from those who have been convicted. Those who have been convicted even have opportunity to learn trade.
Deputy Director of the Kumasi Central Prisons, Nelson Doot, is excited the program has reduced the burden on the prisons.
Like rampant sick reporting. And you can imagine if one prisoner is admitted, it takes about 6 officers a day to keep a guard at the hospital. And then the staff strength is overstretched by that.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, some 43 trafficked children have been rescued from 8 communities in the Volta region following a project being undertaken by the International Organization for Migration and the United Nations Children's Fund. The project, which focuses on increasing child protection and combating trafficking in 8 districts of the Volta region, is helping to reduce child trafficking and child abuse in 43 communities in the region. This was revealed at a ceremony in Ho to mark the completion of the 2-year project. Fred Kwame Asare filed the following report.
The Volta region is reported to have contributed about 60% of children trafficked in Ghana annually. This influenced the International Organization for Migration's decision to embark on the project to reduce child trafficking and child abuse in the region. The project was rolled out in 8 beneficiary communities that were identified to have high incidents of child trafficking and abuse. With funds from UNICEF, 25 social welfare officers were trained together with 127 community volunteers to act as ambassadors to sensitize community members on the vulnerability of children, violations and the harmful consequences of child labor and child trafficking practices. All 43 beneficiary communities committed to ensuring the safety of their children by drawing a tree of life at the community center to serve as a reminder of their commitment. The Central Town District Social Welfare Officer, Comfort Segla, who facilitated the project in her district, shared some success stories.
After that training, they went to their community to roll out the toolkit.
we monitor them and support them in the rollouts of the toolkits, in the sensitization and the education of the people based on the contents of the toolkits. And in the rollouts, the understanding came to some of the parents that it is against the law and against human rights to traffic their children. So immediately, in one community, 3 children were rescued by their own parents and brought back to the school, and they are in the community, they are enrolled in the school and they are attending school now.
The Ghana Chief of Mission of the International Organization for Migration, Sylvia Lopez Ezakra, expressed satisfaction at the result of the project and implored relevant institutions to work at completely eradicating child abuse and trafficking in Ghana.
We went into those communities with the idea that we would create a safe space and an opportunity for these communities to really reflect on how they're treating their children at the moment and think about what they want for their children in the future and confront the current behaviors where they are sending their children away to traffickers and not putting them in school and all sorts of behaviors that are harmful to children, confront that with their expectations for the future of the children. And a lot of the communities went above and beyond what we had expected. They draw the tree of life in their communities, and they've been actually taking other people to see the tree of life and understand the commitment that they are taking. They have drawn plan of actions about how they would increase protection, but also the well-being of their children in those communities. And a lot of parents took it upon themselves to go and rescue their children that they had already sent away in the past, bring them back to the communities and put them in school.
The volunteers were presented with a free-to-be-me toolkit to enable them educate community members on the need to protect the rights of their children and combat child trafficking. Fred Kwame Asare, Joy News.
The Ghana Police Service has arrested one person in connection with a false terrorist attack on the Accra Mall, and this was revealed in a statement signed by the Director General of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, Assistant Commissioner of Police David Eklu, and it reads, the police have arrested a 30-year-old man behind the false terrorist attack on the Accra Mall and currently assisting in investigations. It would be recalled that on 24 September 2017, there was wide circulation on various social media platforms about terrorist attack on the Accra Mall. This created fear and panic and nearly destabilized business activities at the mall. Thorough investigations conducted by the Police Criminal Investigations Department, CID, led to the arrest of the suspect as the originator of the hoax. The suspect was arrested in his hideout at Ofinso in the Ashanti region on 1st November 2017 and is currently in custody assisting police in investigations. The police wishes to once again caution the general public to desist from the use of prank and also assure all that the police have the capacity to fish out persons who circulate false news on social media and other platforms in relation to issues that can have national security implications. And that statement, as you see there, is signed by ACP David Eklu. He is Director General, Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service. Now, residents of Wamese near Kwadaso in Kumasi are terrified by the drowning of a man in a well. Mother of the deceased, Mary Kramo, says her son complained of fever after breakfast and decided to seek comfort in the well. She says attempts to retrain her fell on deaf ears. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah reports.
It's been 30 minutes. Residents are trying all they can to empty this well. Ibrahim Seidu, believed to be mentally unstable, lies at the bottom. The water subsides and finally his head is visible. Ibrahim Seidu, believed to be in his late 40s, reportedly jumped into the well for a cool-off in the water for relief from the scorching sun. Mary, sick and weak, helplessly looked on whilst her son drowns. Mary therefore informed residents who came around to get the body out. An hour has passed, and finally the body is out.
I'm sick and I've been idle all day. After breakfast, he told me he's feeling hot, so he told me he's entering the well. I found nobody around.
The police were yet to arrive at the scene by the time Joy News left. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.